for my next 5 of the top 100 of all my top 100 favorite films of all time. So, yeah, anyway, like I do in every one of these segments, I have a couple of disclaimers in case you're new to this, little bit of a video series on my channel. These are this is my personal top 100 films of the year. Like, these are my favorites. They're not objective fact that these are the best 100 best films ever made of all time fact. Like, no, it's just my personal favorite list. So, if you have a problem with it, if your favorite film is not in this list, I'm sorry, but tough shit. It's my list. I can do what I want. All these films obviously have my stamp of approval, my, Mikey's movie magic, obviously. I mean, they're the top 100 films of all time. It would be kind of stupid if none of them had them. I'm also not going to get an in-depth review of each film. That might be a little bit different when I do, my final 10. So, but when I'm doing these, segments of 5, it's not going to be in-depth reviews. I'm just going to, kind of mention the title, its position in my list, and then kind of give a brief description of why I love it so much. So, without further ado, let's start out with we left off at number 26 in my last episode of Nerd Out Sanctuary. So, we're at number 25, and the 25 spot goes to Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs. So, I believe this came out before Pulp Fiction, or I think it might have been after Pulp Fiction. I don't know. Comment below if I'm correct on this. I'm not going to look it up right now. But 1992. When did Pulp Fiction come out? I'm sorry. I'm kind of okay. Yeah, it was before. Pulp Fiction came out in 1994, and Reservoir Dogs came out in 92. So Reservoir Dogs was. I think it's his first ever film that he released. But yeah, Reservoir Dogs. I think it might be Tarantino's best script, maybe. There's an argument there. I think maybe Inglourious Bastards is really great. I mean, Pulp Fiction as well. Spoiler alert, that's pretty high on my list. But Reservoir Dogs is great. It's one of those films that's it's in one location and it's an isolated location, but it's so engaging that it doesn't fucking matter. The characters are so interesting and the relationships with each character is so great. That whole fucking stuck in the middle with you scene with the cop, bro. One of the more violent scenes I've seen. Definitely one of the most memorable ones with Mr. Blonde. But yeah, I mean, Steve Buscemi's in it, Tim Roth, Harvey Keitel, Michael Madsen. The acting talent in this film is honestly kind of underrated. And Tarantino himself also is in it. Chris Penn's in it, which is great. So, yeah, I mean, it's just a really great film. It's very entertaining. I highly recommend it. I highly recommend pretty much every Tarantino film. If you haven't seen any of them, watch them. They're really good. But again, if you have a light stomach and violence is not really your thing, okay, maybe don't check out all of them. I mean, the one scene that I'm talking about with, the stuck in the middle with you with Mr. Blonde, it's pretty graphic. So, yeah, just be warned if you haven't seen this one beforehand, but I highly recommend it. It's really great. All right, so moving on to number 24. We have the greatest Christmas movie of all time, hands down, no argument. It's objective fact. We're talking Die Hard, okay? Die Hard, best Christmas film of all time. I don't give a shit what you have to say. It's amazing. I mean, it's also probably one of the best action films of all time, which is the more accurate genre. But, I still think it's a Christmas movie. I watch it around Christmas time every year. I mean, Nakatomi Plaza is iconic. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. I mean, come on. Hans Gruber, probably one of the best villain performances ever. I mean, Alan Rickman is iconic. I mean, so good. I mean, it's Bruce Willis's best movie, I think, probably of all time. Actually, no, it's not. So, Never mind. That's a complete lie. We have I think there's another film higher on this list that I think is better than Die Hard, so that I like more, I guess, is what I'm meant to say. But I do probably watch this film a lot more than some films higher on this list because I watch it a yearly basis, and I don't know, I just kind of have an urge to watch it every December around Christmas. So Die Hard's the shit. If you haven't seen Die Hard, what are you doing with your life? Watch fucking Die Hard. Like, come on. Get in the game, guys. But anyway, so, yep, number 24 is Die Hard. Number 23 and 22 are unique films, unique relationships with them. But number 23, we're probably talking my favorite one of my favorite hard sci-fi films of all time. I'm talking Blade Runner 2049. I'm talking the sequel to the original Blade Runner is at the number 23 spot. Weirdly, I think there's an argument to be made that this film's better than the original, which is something I never would have expected going into it. When they originally announced that they were going to make a sequel to Blade Runner, I was like really pissed. I was like, why? What is the point? Please do not completely ruin it for me. Don't do it. Do not make a sequel. What is the point? Why are we doing this? And then they announced Denis Villeneuve is directing and Ryan Gosling is starring in it. And I was like, okay. All right. Let's see where we go. Because I think at that time I think the only films I saw were Prisoners and Sicario, which are both fantastic. Oh, I saw Enemy too. So those three films are really great. Prisoners is in my top 100, so you know how I feel about Denis Villeneuve. And then Arrival came out, and then I watched that, and I was like, whoa, okay, this is really good as well. Not as good as Sicario and Prisoners, in my opinion, but still awesome. And a hard sci-fi film. So I knew it was like, oh, okay, so he can do it. And then, Ryan Gosling, I mean, he was in Drive, which we'll be talking about pretty soon on this list too. But yeah, he's in that, and I know he's probably one of the best actors at just emoting with just his face, acting with his face without saying anything, especially from that film, Place Beyond the Pines, and other films that I've seen him in as well. So I was really excited about it. But I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. It's fucking incredible. And I'm probably going to be doing a Why I Love episode on the Blade Runner films, because number 22 on this list is the original Blade Runner with, God, why am I blanking on his name? What the fuck? Oh my God. What are you doing, Mike? Harrison Ford. Why? I don't know why that, I took a while. I can't believe I forgot that. But anyway, Blade Runner. Again, the original Blade Runner film, I have an interesting relationship with. Again, with Blade Runner 2049 as well, because coming out of the theater, I was like, holy shit, that might actually be better than the fucking original. But the original is still the original to me. And I probably have a most complicated relationship with this film than I do with any other film on this top 100 list. Because when I first watched Blade Runner, I think I was a freshman in high school, maybe sophomore. And when I first watched it, I honestly forget why. I think it was just like, it's a sci-fi film. It's iconic. It's very influential for other films. And I just watched it. I remember watching it and being like, that was really cool, but I don't know how I feel about it. And then I watched it again, and I watched it again, and then I watched it again. And I don't know what it was about, I think it was the third or fourth time I watched it. Something just clicked for me. And the ending monologue, all those moments will be lost in time like tears in rain. And just that whole monologue of Rutger Hauer's monologue at the end just hit me. And I'm like, holy shit. He's, this tragic end of like, what, like he's contemplating his death, like he's coming to terms with his own death, which is unlike, it's such a human thing, because we also fear death, and that's the thing. It's like, oh, Deckard's really not the hero. He's kind of the piece of shit, which throws you off when you first watch it, because it's like, why is Deckard our main character and not Roy Batty? Because like you realize it's like all Roy wants is more life. Like that's all he's just fighting for his life, and that's it. And that's what you realize. And he decides to save Deckard. I mean, again, I'm gonna rant about how awesome Blade Runner is. I'm going to be saving all that for a while of episode, because I'm definitely going to be doing it for both of these films. And yeah, Blade Runner is great. It's hard sci-fi, so I understand why people think it's boring and it's not that good. But like, it is though. Like, it just is. It's so good. It's probably, in my opinion, the two best hard sci-fi films you can watch. I mean, just the atmosphere and tone and music and feel of the film are just so iconic and influential for so many other films. If you don't have Blade Runner, you don't have Ghost in the Shell. And if you don't have Ghost in the Shell, you don't have The Matrix. If you don't have The Matrix, then you don't have other great films as well. So, I don't know. It's great. I mean, they're some of my favorite films of all time. That's why they're pretty fucking high on this list. Now, final film. Holy shit. This is so long. We're over an hour. But final film that we're going over today, number 21, we're talking Alien. That's right, the first Alien movie, the first one, the cosmic horror film Alien, which is hands down, it's one of the best horror films of all time. I think it's the best cosmic horror film ever made. I mean, iconic scenes with the chest burst, and some of the scariest fucking scenes ever put to film are in Alien. Like the scene where the captain's in those like ventilation shafts and the whole, come here, you want to hug me, bro? Like, if you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. When they're in when he's in the ventilation shaft. I mean, everyone knows the chest burster scene. Everyone's seen that. Really fun behind the scenes thing is that the actors had no idea that was coming. The only people who knew that was coming was the actor who it happened to, I forget what his name, and the director, Ridley Scott. So all those reactions are actual, real, genuine reactions. And actually, the other woman, not Sigourney Weaver, but the other woman who got blood on her face actually fainted during that scene. So, yeah, I mean, we're talking amazing practical effects and great scares. Iconic film. I mean, again, also is hugely influential. A lot of these films that are high on this list are that. So, yeah, I mean, again, I'm not going to talk about whether or not these films are going to rise and fall because we're getting like close to the top 20. I mean, honestly, probably the top 50 is pretty set in stone. I haven't really changed it in the past years that I've had this list, created for myself. So, I mean, the top 50 is pretty much set in stone, but like everything else probably is a little bit in flux, over, as the years go. And I even like other films come to mind. I'm like, man, that probably should be in here. That should probably be in my top 100. So maybe sometime down the line, I might put out some updates on this list. But like I said, we're getting into these high, amazing films that aren't really changing. These are some of my favorite films ever that I watched the most. So yeah, that's number 25 through 21, guys. Hello there. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you're unfamiliar with this channel, this is Nerd Out Sanctuary. I'm your host, Michael. What do I talk about, you say? Well, I talk about anything nerdy. So that's movies, video games, TV shows, comic books every once in a while, books, maybe not. I don't know. Anything that I feel like talking about. I'm a huge nerd. I hope you're a huge nerd, and I hope we can enjoy our nerdiness together here. This is a full audio podcast available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, the major podcast platforms. So consider going over to those and checking out the full version of of the episode. And other past episodes, please leave me a review and subscribe on those platforms. If you don't want to do that, clipped, shorter versions of those full episodes will be posted here on YouTube. So consider subscribing and liking the videos for more to support me and future content that I will be producing in the future on nerdy stuff. So yeah, thank you, and see you on the next one.